Now we will look at PBX settings. Navigate to the Settings button at the top right of the screen and choose PBX from the drop-down menu. First, we will take a look at General Settings by clicking on the General tab. You can specify the first day of the week by choosing a day of the week from the drop-down menu. You can also toggle on and off weekly reports features, as well as list all the emails which receive weekly statistics reports. If you want to delete an email from the list, you can do so by clicking the X icon next to the email address. The weekly statistics reports include a brief summary of all the incoming, outgoing, missed, or abandoned calls over the course of the week. Moving on to the Extension and Trunk Alias tab, this section allows you to find a list of all the added landlines and extensions and gives you the option of assigning names and numbers to them. The names and numbers you assign can be seen in the widgets and reports you generate. Extension and Trunk Alias section is divided into two parts as Extension and Trunk or CO. There are 5 components within Extension: Extension Number, Extension Name, where a name or number can be assigned to the extension, Site or Location, which is the ID number of the PBX on PBXDom. Filter is available to search extension number or name input of numeric or text value. If you need to remove the assigned name for the extension, you can click the Reset button. If you do not see your extensions in this list, you should wait approximately 24 hours for the extension and co-list to automatically update. All extensions and COs making and receiving calls during the next 24 hours are automatically added to the list. If you want to add an extension that is not on the list, you should make a call from that extension. Now let's look at the 5 components within Trunk CO. Trunk CO is the landline number. Trunk CO name, where a name or number can be assigned to the Trunk CO. Site location, which is the ID number of the PBX on PBXDom. Class of cost is a list of defined and available classes of cost which can be selected for a particular landline. Filter is available to search landline or trunk number or name input of numeric or text value. If you need to remove the assigned name for the landlines or trunks, you can click the Reset button. The next tab is Department, Group, Exclude. This section allows you to add departments into a hierarchical list of all departments and groups within your company and organization. By defining different departments and groups, you can limit the information displayed on different widgets and reports to a particular group. Now let's add a department or group. By default, Root is the first group found in the list. All other groups and departments can be added as the subgroup of Root. Click the Add icon to the right of Root to add more departments to the list. Enter a name for the new department or group into the dialog box. Click Add when finished. After the group is added to the list, you can add extensions by clicking on the list item you added. Another section will appear on the right-hand side of the page. Here, you can begin adding your extensions to a department or group by choosing the extensions from the drop-down menu. If you want to remove an extension from a department or group, you can do so by clicking the X icon. For each department or group, a subgroup can be added by clicking the plus icon on the right side of each existing department or group, and even a subgroup. Here, we will add Team A as the subdepartment or group of support. If you want to remove an extension from a department or group, you can do so by clicking the X icon. Department or group titles can be renamed by clicking on the gear icon to the right of the title. After entering a new name, click the Save button. By clicking on the Exclude extension link, you can make a list of all the extensions you do not wish to be included in your reports. After making your list in the Exclude extension section, call information will not be shown in reports or dashboard widgets. By clicking on the Whitelist extension link, you can make a list of all the extensions you want to show data for in the dashboard, report, and charts. PBXDom will then only show data for those extensions and filter all other data. Now let's take a look at class of cost. Different telecommunication service providers have their own call cost calculations, so it is helpful to know and apply those defined values for each particular landline or trunk. Under Class of Cost, you can also view a full list of all the defined classes for measuring your call cost on PBXDom. To add a class of cost, click the plus button in the Class of Cost section. A new section will appear below the list of defined classes. Here, you can define your call's cost rate for both incoming and outgoing calls. Let's have a look at all the available fields. Name will be a name for Class of Cost. Tax percentage is the tax percentage rate of the telecommunication service provider. Incoming rate per call is the cost rate based on each incoming call. Incoming rate per minute is the cost rate of an incoming call based on minutes. Incoming rate per second is the cost rate of an incoming call based on seconds. Incoming rate per month is the cost rate of an incoming call based on month. Incoming calculate greater than X amount of seconds is a second-based condition which determines which incoming calls with that duration which should be taken into account. For example, if we enter 10, then this means that the cost of all the incoming calls with a duration of 10 seconds will be taken into account, and all calls which are less than 10 seconds will be ignored. Incoming minimum charge for X amount of seconds determines the minimum duration of each incoming call to be charged. For example, if we enter 60, then this means that all the incoming calls with a duration of less than 60 seconds will be charged as if they were 60 seconds. Outgoing rate per second is the cost rate of an outgoing call based on seconds. Outgoing long-distance rate per second is the cost rate of outgoing long-distance calls. Outgoing international rate per second is the cost rate for outgoing international calls. Outgoing rate per call is the cost rate based on each outgoing call. Outgoing calculate greater than X amount of seconds is a seconds-based condition which determines which outgoing calls with what duration should be taken into account. For example, if we enter 10, then this means that the cost of all the outgoing calls with a duration of 10 seconds will be taken into account, and calls which are less than 10 seconds will be ignored. Outgoing minimum charge X amount of seconds determines the minimum duration of each outgoing call to be charged. For example, if we enter 60, then this means that all the outgoing calls with a duration of less than 60 seconds will be charged as if they were 60 seconds. After entering your values, you can click the Save button. This will add your class of cost to the list. There is an additional section called Custom Rate. Navigate to the gear icon to the right of the class. When you click this icon, a new section will appear under Class of Cost. So, in Class of Cost, we specify different classes of cost for different telecommunication service providers. In the Custom Rate section, you can define custom rates for different countries and states. Let's go over the available fields. Name is simply a name for the custom rate. Destination pattern defines the destination pattern. For example, as a destination pattern for Germany, we can enter 0049. You can even specify destination patterns for mobile phone numbers and more. Rate is the cost of a call for each second. Rate per call is the cost rate based on each call. Calculate greater than X amount of seconds is a seconds-based condition which determines which calls with what duration should be taken into account. Minimum charge for X amount of seconds determines the minimum duration of each call to be charged. From time to time defines a time range. Weekdays specifies the days of the week on which this custom rate can get applied. Delete removes the custom rate from the list. After you specified your class of cost, then you can link it to your trunk landlines to the class by going to the Extension Trunk Alias section. So after you assign the class of cost to each trunk CO, PBXDom will calculate calls cost based on that class of cost, and the widgets and reports cost related value automatically shows the cost for the calls. Because you may have different trunk COs from 2 or more telco companies, you can create different class of cost for each and assign a trunk. PBXDom calculates the cost of each separately. To edit a class of cost, click on the gear icon located to the right of the class in the list. To remove a class of cost, click the minus icon located to the right of the class in the list.